Hey, what's up you guys? This is D with Level 3 Properties. Came across a video on a podcast called The Iced Coffee Hour. It's with Stephan and Selby. So Stephan is known for his career as a real estate agent, but more so as a real estate investor turned podcaster. He still invests in real estate as well too, but he also interviews a lot of interesting people on that podcast. And he had a guest on the show recently by the name of Shelton. He's also known as the Squatter Hunter. And so when I came across this video, it was pretty interesting because I'm sure you've been hearing a lot in the news about crazy squatter situations with that mansion in Hollywood and just kind of all across the country. So I really wanted to do a video on it because there were so many good tips and tricks on how to prevent a potential squatter situation, whether you're a homeowner or an investor. And I felt like it was warranted that I do a video for some of my massive following, my massive viewer following, and they basically talk about how the eviction process and getting rid of squatters is very archaic and a very outdated process. And so I felt after seeing this video that there was some level of responsibility for me to spread the word about it. There were a lot of unexpected aspects of the whole squatter realm that I had never even heard of or wouldn't even have expected. And what I found out is that most squatters aren't even homeless. I was under the impression that they were people just looking for a place to live. But no, these are people that actually have jobs, bank accounts, cars. And the squatter hunter, Shelton, basically says that in his experience, a lot of these squatters feel entitled to essentially utilize the loopholes that a lot of states are giving favorable laws and treatment to squatters over homeowners and property owners in general, which is freaking mind-blowing, right? And basically what Shelton does as a squatter hunter, he originally had a squatter situation of his own that he had to deal with his mom and his mom's house, and learned quite a few things from that, and essentially decided to utilize what he's learned to basically take that and use it against squatters. So to alleviate this situation that homeowners and investors have to deal with, in these types of situations, we're going to go over the 5 rules to increase the likelihood that you're not going to have to deal with a squatter going forward. Because like I said, it affects both homeowners and investors equally the same, and we're going to go over some of those scenarios as well too. All right, so rule number 1, do not put up for sale or for rent signs on your property. And I'm going to get some pushback on that, but give me 1 second. And also don't give out your key code lockbox combination, particularly if you are managing the property remotely. So you have to give it out to potential renters so that they can go in and take a look and things of that nature as well too. So that's more often what you'll see, because what's happened before is, obviously if there's a for sale or for rent sign, anybody can just break in, crawl through the window and proceed with their squatting activities, if you will. And for the second scenario with the key code lockbox combination, which is kind of interesting because I've actually, as a renter myself, I've done that to where you would call a number that's on the sign and they would give you the combination, just go in and take a look at it because they're not there. But as a squatter, that's just giving them free access, and then they can go and set up shop, and then what do you know, all of a sudden now you got a brand new squatter. So definitely don't want to do that. So rule number 2, you want to go to your local law enforcement and register for a no trespassing sign. So this is basically going there and getting it documented that you are basically allowing this sign to be put up and for law enforcement to come and arrest anybody that trespasses on the property, literally anybody. You can even designate an individual on the registration form or individuals, but why pigeonhole yourself like that? Just make it so that it's all inclusive for anybody that breaks in, because chances are you're not going to know the name of the person anyways. So that's one of your shields that you can use to prevent people from, like I said, trespassing and then trying to come up with an excuse for, oh no, I'm a tenant or I've been here, whatever crappy excuse they want to make. Okay, so rule number 3, if all else fails, what you essentially want to do is you want to find out, if possible, the exact day and time that the squatter broke into your property. And how would you do that? Security system. Get your cameras out there and get them on your property so that you're monitoring it actively. If it's vacant, if you're doing construction, if for whatever reason it's not being utilized at the time, because that will be your evidence and notify law enforcement, and hopefully you won't have to get to the point of getting in front of a judge, but you can actually let them know the exact day that, hey, no, nobody was authorized during this entire time and they broke in at this exact same time, and you can't refute that. Okay, rule number 4, So they've broken in, they've set up shop, and whether you notice it on the security camera or maybe a neighbor had noticed that, you know, it was vacant one day and now there's random people going in and out, like, hey, just letting you know there's somebody in your damn property. Yeah, you want to reach out to law enforcement, but it's about how you communicate that to law enforcement. So when you reach out to law enforcement, you don't want to say that the property is vacant and that somebody is now there. It's going to be documented as a vacant property, and that will be used against you, because what's unfortunate about this situation is that so many laws right now, and obviously it varies state by state, but remember I had mentioned that these laws are so outdated and so archaic. These laws are so slanted towards tenants to the point where if it is vacant, there were vacant tenant laws that were incorporated back in the day. So if you had documented that you communicated that the property was vacant and then somebody does actually get in and become a squatter, now they have squatter rights because you have actually referenced that it was a vacant unit and they took advantage of that damn loophole to take it to their advantage, right? So in that case, the first thing you want to do is just straight up say, hey, I have a property, somebody broke in, I don't know who they are, please handle it. So you want to use that word, somebody broke in, because then at that point, once law enforcement goes to the property, they're going to approach it differently. They're going to approach it as, okay, we have a criminal situation on our hands. We're going to approach it as these people are potentially dangerous. They potentially have weapons. We don't know, right? However, in the situation we were just talking about, if you say, oh, the property's vacant and there's nobody supposed to be in there, it's going to be a rental, blah, blah, blah. Even if like, hey, we're on vacation, it'll go from a criminal type of approach situation that law enforcement uses to a civil type of situation, because then they have a whole different set of civil laws that they have to now follow as now to verify, oh, okay, well, is this a tenant? Is this really somebody that broke in? Is this somebody who's allowed to be there? So that's why it's very crucial of how you communicate this particular situation, because if you communicate it one way, they don't have any rights. They're treated as criminals. But if you communicate it another way, they're going to be given rights and be treated as potential tenants. And unfortunately, there's a lot of power that's taken away from law enforcement. As much as they might want to help you and know, and it's obvious that these people broke in, they still have to follow these stupid rules that the states unfortunately have to follow. So, rule number 5. Now, rule number 5 pertains to when you reach out to law enforcement, or maybe you even have an attorney that a real estate attorney that you normally work with, and you bring them in the situation and you say, hey, there's obviously somebody here they're not supposed to be. One aspect of that you don't want to do is you don't want to make documented proof or evidence, if you will, of notice that they are in the property. And what I mean by that is if you go to like the sheriff or you go to your attorney and you say, hey, can you drop something for me? And because the police, they went there, and currently all you have is that phone call. You don't have anything in writing. So the last thing you want to do is put something in writing that says that we acknowledge that you are on the property. And the reason why you don't want to do that is because now you're actually documenting that you know that they're there. The reason being is because by you giving any kind of notice, any kind of indication that you understand and you're making it official that you know that they're there, bam, now you're actively giving them squatters' rights. So you might have actually gone in originally, said to law enforcement, hey, somebody broke into my house, I don't know who it is, they could be a dangerous individual, can you please handle it? And you're like, hey, I want to make it official so that it's documented that these people aren't supposed to be there. But now you shot yourself in the foot, because now you actually have something that they can use as proof, because most of the time the squatter doesn't even have anything in writing that says that they have any authority for being there. Now they have a timeline that they can work with, and the squatter would just lie about how long they've been. Oh, they can say, oh, I've been here for weeks, and they've actually drawn up fake leases. So fake leases have even become a huge problem. There are people that actually have jobs and have money and have resources, so they've actually drawn up fake leases, and unfortunately it's extended these things out to where it takes years for them to get through the whole judicial process and essentially get this taken care of. So that's why these squatters sometimes take years to get rid of, and it's very unfortunate that that's the case. All right, so bonus rule number 6. So this one actually came from Stephan on the Iced Coffee Hour episode, and it was very interesting. So it pertains to the previous rule on these fake leases that have become a huge problem, right? With these leases, because of the fact that they are very difficult to prove that they are fake leases because they're even faking signatures. They're going through the whole process with using fake e-signatures to the extent of what can we do to thwart this and get ahead of it without having to necessarily go through this whole investigative matter. So what Graham actually recommends is getting your leases notarized. If you at least get it notarized, you can actually get the fact that your signature is legit, that you actually authorize, if it is a true tenant, that you authorize that tenant to be on the property, and that the person living there is the right person that's supposed to be living there. So a squatter breaks in, tries to act like they've been living there for however long. If you have your notarized lease and then they have their fake lease and they try and take that to court, you'd be like, oh, hey judge, I actually have the real lease right here. I have mine notarized. This squatter, they're going to try and come to court with their fake lease that's not notarized, and then you can actually take that to court and be like, hey judge, I actually have my signature, the tenant's signature, who's signed and notarized, and so there's your proof right then and there that not only are they lying, but now they're committing fraud, and let's hear them talk their way out of that in the actual courtroom, right? So yeah, that's an extra little tidbit that I thought was just great that Stephan had recommended, and that's what he does apparently with his tenants as well too. So I'm probably gonna even incorporate that myself. So yeah, that's probably the greatest part about this video, is that it just had so many good tips and tricks and things that I'm gonna incorporate in my in my rentals going forward, and just properties in general. And what the squatter hunter does, he basically takes all these rules. He has him and his team, he goes in, because he's not the owner of the property as well too, he doesn't have to follow the same rules that a property owner has to follow. So he can actually get a signed lease from the property owner that says that he can live there as well. There's nothing preventing the squatter hunter from also living there. So he basically goes in, makes their life a living hell, and then basically gets them out by using these same stupid ass squatter rules against them. And it's a very entertaining watch. So I'm gonna leave a link to the video in the description so you guys can check it out in further detail. I mean, you'll be glued to the screen the entire time. But so yeah, hopefully this video helped out, and let me know if you have any other comments or questions. Like I said, this is not legal advice. This is not, I'm not an attorney, so there are resources out there if you are dealing with that situation now, or somebody that's going through a squatter situation. They feel like they have no resources and they have nothing to reach out to, and just need a little bit of help. You might have to hire the squatter hunter and pay a little bit out of pocket to get rid of these people. But a lot of people don't know right out the gate that it can cost quite a bit of money. It can cost anywhere from 20 to 30 grand depending on the severity of the situation, and most people can't afford that. One of the things that kind of caught me off guard, and what's really sad about this at the end of the day, is that he even goes over a story about how he tried to help out this tenant, and it was an older elderly lady, and unfortunately, after going through, I think it was a couple of years of dealing with this particular squatter, they eventually got him out. But even after all the trauma and everything, and being financially ruined as well too, unfortunately, she self-deleted herself. And it's crazy, because some people spend their entire lives saving up money and trying to take care of their families and everything to make a life better for themselves and for generational wealth, and to pass down something onto their kids. And for somebody to spend their whole life trying to be genuinely good people and be good landlords, and feeling like, damn, I mean, now I'm in such a depressed state because I'm ruined, not necessarily just mentally but emotionally and financially, that I'm gonna take myself out of the equation. Like, no, I'm sorry, but fuck that. I have zero sympathy for these squatters. Like I said, these rules are so outdated. They're literally hundreds of years old, to where squatters' rights were more understandable back in the day, because people back in the day were able to go into properties that were distressed and run down and all that stuff. And so these squatter rights actually came into play, because these people would come in and actually rehabilitate these properties over years, and actually increase the value over time, and actually do something good for the community and good for the neighborhood. So yeah, it made sense at the time. They were adding value. They weren't just trying to suck value and try and take from people that have worked their entire lives. But nowadays, it's just people going in and being like, oh, that's shiny and nice, I want it for me. And I just have zero respect for anybody like that. So like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and feel free to like the video, and I'll be putting out more videos and more content like this. I have a video coming up interviewing my buddy Pete, who's an amazing guy. He's an amazing investor, and he's had to deal with a squatter situation as well too. So looking forward to that, and let's get it crack and make it happen. Let's keep going the distance out there, and I'll catch you guys next time.